This stream is cleared for takeoff. It's great to be back this Wednesday for another first-party aircraft developer stream. Welcome, my name is Jayne. I am the Senior Community Manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So last week, we had the pleasure of chatting with Flight Effects, learned all about some of their new aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now today, as you can see, we're going to welcome 3 first-party developer teams to our stream. First, I'd love to say hello to Jorg, who is here joining us, head of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hey, Jorg. Hi. How are you doing?
Great. Good to see y'all.
Glad you can join us. All right, I'd love to introduce the everybody on screen here. So on the top right, we have Steve Daniels, co-founder of Hype Performance Group. Welcome to the stream, Steve.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Looking forward to learn about what you got coming in the sim. On the bottom left, we have 2 developers from Got Friends, project manager Brandon, also known as Jonks Online, and lead programmer Raymond, also known as Got Gravel. Thank you both for joining us.
Hey.
And on the bottom right, we have 2 developers from Miltech Simulations, Gabrielle Venorio, managing director, and Daniel Dunn, head of aircraft development. Happy to have you both from Miltech.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
Hi.
It's a full stream today. All 3 of these wonderful dev teams will be giving us an inside look at their aircraft and what their teams have been hard at work developing for 2024. And just as a reminder, chat, this is not one of your average development streams with Jorg, Marcel, and Seb, so we won't be answering general questions about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Instead, during each developer's presentation, feel free to ask questions to them about their aircraft, and we'll do our best to answer throughout the stream. So let's go ahead and get started with Jorg. I know you have a few things you want to say.
Yeah, I just want to say hi and thank you for joining today. We are only 27 days away from the launch of Flight Simulator 2024, which is super exciting. So all the teams are super busy polishing everything for launch, of course. But despite that, I wanted to thank the 3 teams presenting today for showing up anyways and to show you in detail some of the awesome aircraft they're making. It's going to be quite packed today. In total, there's going to be 7 aircraft shown. And without further ado, I think Brandon and Raymond are starting this. So have fun.
Thank you. So go ahead and introduce you guys to our first aircraft on the list. This is the AeroElvira Optica, and it's the next generation of it. So this is something we've released in the past in 2020, and Microsoft was kind enough to ask us to do it for 2024. So we've completely reinvented the Optica. So I'm going to go ahead and start pre-flight and let Raymond talk a little bit about the details.
Yeah, so here we have our Optica. It is, of course, it's a great observation platform. You basically can see it's like a helicopter with wings, basically. It has enormous endurance. It's got about 8 hours on it. If you put it in loiter mode, that sort of thing, and we simulated all this. So if you put the flaps on flap 2, it is super efficient in a very slow cruise, so you can literally loiter over an area, just chill, relax, enjoy the scenery. For 8 long hours, you can do whatever you want. It's got a detailed simulation also of pretty much every single system. Brandon is showing a little bit there already. But one thing to note is the weights, the balance, because as you note, the people are sitting in front all the way. So it really matters and impacts CG a lot if you put 1, 2, or 3 people in front. So if there's 1 person in front, you need to add weight ballast in front. 3 people in front, you need to add weight ballast behind, and 2 people, nothing. For example, right? And Brandon is showing right now that he can move the control surface in the pre-flight checks when he's walking around, that sort of thing. Brandon?
Yep, and trying not to forget the chocks.
Yep, getting the whole aircraft ready. You can see it looks nice and shiny, and he's going in.
So this is the inside, and we're just going to go ahead and start her up. So something unique on the Optica, we have 2 variants coming. One of the variant is a Series 300, which you probably saw on the front, has a camera. And this comes in EO wide, IRH, and IR cold. that you can go ahead and use to kind of help you along your flight. Go ahead and open the fuel valve, both set, start the power. All right, and we got engine start. So we're going to go ahead and do a little quick flight for this one and move on to the next aircraft. I think a lot of you guys are probably really familiar with the Optica by now. So something really awesome about this aircraft is its turn radius. Very, very high turn radius. So you can really get out of some tight squeezes. And then we absolutely love the view on this thing. This is like one of the best views you can get for like VR type aircraft. So if you're really looking for an aircraft that kind of has those kind of views where you can really enjoy all the new scenery adding in 2024, this is the perfect aircraft for you. We got full glass all over the place.
Yeah, basically, if you don't want to fly a helicopter, but you like the view, then you fly this one. Easy one. It's so
Optica's
great
a
to
little
enjoy the...
slow, so we're
Yep.
going to go ahead and turn away from these mountains.
You see the camera at work now.
Question from chat: what is the cruise speed on this?
Okay, it can be between 45 and 110 knots. It has an enormous range. 110 knots is on the fast side, but if you go in so-called loiter mode, which is pretty unique to this one, you only cruise between 45 and 70 knots. The idea is really that it can kind of replace the duties of a helicopter. That was its original vision and design as well. So that's why it was used by the police to patrol highways and slow or check out nature reserves. It just slowly and quietly hover over an area. That's why it's also using a ducted fan. So it reduces the noise level a lot. So it is a very quiet aircraft, can fly very, very slow. Yeah, and once again, 8 hours of endurance. So you really can, if you have nothing to do for a day, just hop in this aircraft, just cruise along.
Yeah.
Yep. And then as you can see here, we got the AS530, the Garmin 530. We got an autopilot suite, transponder. This pretty much is your standard 9-pack with some extra tools, obviously, in there for you. So she is kind of like your general aviation flyer. It's probably, I would say, out of our portfolio, Gravel, the most general aviated aircraft out here. So
yeah, this is the less extreme one here, I think. The night lighting is also quite pleasant. So if you want to chill at night, you can reduce the lighting. That's nice, because you got these little post lights on some of the cages and some of the switches. There's a little thing that is illuminating. There you go. It's only illuminating 2 cages, but that's as per the original, for example, and illuminates some other panels as well for switches. So it is a very
an adjustable
spotlight. And there's
well.
a little cabin light there as well. So it gives you a very pleasant view. And the lighting in 2 to 4 is fantastic. It's really a very natural feel. Beautiful.
Now everyone in chat wants to know, does it include the dog and cat from the 2020 version?
It does not. This one, we decided to leave those features out. However, got friends. We're probably going to be working on another dog and cat type adventure in the future with 2024. So
Nice. Does it have standard autopilot?
It does. It has the KAP 140 autopilot system. If you're familiar with that. So there's a few systems out there, but that's the one we're using in this aircraft.
Yeah, it's a bit more era appropriate. It's quite an older aircraft.
Yeah. So. Yep. This actually came out in I believe the 1970s is when this platform started its production. Yeah. So it's a really old aircraft, but it looks very futuristic. They were way ahead of their time, I think.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and switch on to the next aircraft, Jayne.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right, so just a couple more chat questions while you switch over. Really interested in those cameras. What options are there? FLIR, low light, etc.
So currently we have EO wide, which is your full color spectrum. We have IR hot and IR cold, which is just kind of inverting the coldness, I guess. I'm from a military background, so that's kind of what we did there. And then we also can adjust contrast on the fly. The fly, you can turn off your systems, and it displays all the information on top, like your latitude, longitude, date, zoom. So there's some good features there with the camera.
Mhm.
So the next aircraft we're going to be highlighting, or the next two, are our gliders that we're working for Flight Sim 2024. Specifically the Stemme S12G and the Taurus M. All right, so this is the Stemme S12G. And once again, as I just do a quick little pre-flight, I'll let Gravel talk about the specifics.
All right, so here we have a very, very large glider, 25-meter wingspan. That's a fair bit more than the usual 15 or 18, which you typically find. It is a side-by-side Grand Tourer, if you will, motorized by petrol engine. So not even electric here. So you got the Rotex 914 turbo in there. So it is kind of, you can fly it like a normal aircraft if you want to, or as a glider. So it's a great aircraft to go into if you want to start gliding, because the cockpit will feel familiar. You got two G3Xs, things like that. Very comfortable aircraft. But the moment you're in glide mode, the propeller will completely stow inside the cone. The cone nose will actually come out and hide the entire propeller. Solar powered as well. We actually did quite a bit of coding to make the solar panels really work. It really looks at where the sun is and how much solar charge you actually would get from that particular situation on a battery. So you have a really in-depth simulation of all the avionics because of that as well. Brendan, you want to show something already?
Yeah, so we just did engine startup on this thing, just quick, to showcase the aircraft. And we're getting our Garmin G3Xs set up. This is our brand new LX navigation system. So here you can do north up displays. You can do thermal tracking, which we'll leave on for the day's flight. Zooming, obviously. We have multiple pages, and these are fully customizable. So you're able to select on like objects like the speed ribbon and altitude ribbon. And if you go back, you can see they're now removed from the display. So this is fully customizable. If you want to put something else in a certain area, like the red, you select it here, maybe ground altitude, select in this area. And then let's see, we got ground altitude there. And you can see it pop up. So this is very customizable for everybody who's involved in gliding tasks, as far as going from general to waypoints as well. So you can have your current waypoint, waypoint +1, waypoint +2, and finish. Yep. We also have some additional settings in here if you want to change your units. As you can see, it's talking to the sister unit as well. It will change the units. The speed talks to the airspeed gauge, so you can switch those on the fly. Same with the altitude. Distance, which changes on the display, and then you can also change your themes from light to dark as well.
And since this was developed by Ian, it is fully compatible with the gliding task you may be familiar with already on the various Discord servers. So if you want to join flight groups, you have the tasks, it will fully work with the system. That's quite nice. The V8 then, Brendan?
Vario? Yes, the Vario, yep. And the Vario is very similar. They're talking hand in hand. You can push it to get 360 thermal track. You have your wind indicator, as well as a attitude horizon gauge. And then you got some various settings, which are pretty similar to the same settings in the LX system. There's a few different ones like Variotone, where you can show your positive or positive and negative. You can adjust your volume here for your Variotone. You can right click on it to change positive to negative. Then you can also adjust your McReady or change your scale. So let's get in the air.
Yeah. Even though you have wing walkers, it is fully self-launch capable, this one. It has wheels side by side.
The bush.
Unlike most gliders, so you can actually taxi here like a normal aircraft all the way from the hangar. Although you have to watch your wing strike, obviously. But yeah, it is the perfect aircraft to get started with in gliding if you're familiar with regular GA aircraft. You just fly it as such as you will. You want to start gliding, you just stow the engine, and there you go. It's got a glide ratio of 53:1, so quite generous for a non-competitive glider, so-called. And it is very stately to fly, especially because of that big wingspan. Gives a lot of moment in the wings, of course. So it's very easy to handle in the mountains with some rich turbulence, things like this. There you go. So quite a cool performance.
And we're off.
There you go.
So I really think people are going to really enjoy the motor gliders that we're bringing to the sim. They're a little bit more conventional and definitely have that engine safety to kind of help a lot of the new glider pilots kind of get used to the procedures of gliding before they decide to go full engine off. So I feel like people are going to really enjoy this. Like Raymond said, it's a Grand Tour class. So the Stemme is meant for long, nice flights.
Yeah. Although we haven't tried it, you probably could do a transatlantic in this one. You could try it. Hope Iceland.
You can see here too. We've fully modeled out wing flex as well.
Yeah.
Made sure to give it the characteristics that gliders definitely need.
Yeah, so the flaps as well will typically be are configured to work the way you would expect them for a glider.
Oh.
So the faster you go, you really change the flaps. And with the flap setting, it will attract a certain speed as well. It will limit your need to trim.
Raymond,
Probably
we're
want to
losing
try.
you.
You're
we're
losing
losing
me.
you a
I'm
little
sorry.
bit, Raymond.
Am I okay now? I talk
Nah.
slower a bit.
You're a bit robotic. You want to rejoin and
Let's settle it.
Don't worry, I'll talk a little bit more, and then
Sounds
we'll
good.
switch to the next one. So, as you can see, these two units are fully talking together. And what's really nice is Ian B21. Big shout out to him for helping us develop this gauge, because it also works with the common glider task, which a lot of the glider community is used to. And so we hope that they really enjoy this, and we see this system pop up in more gliders in the future. I feel like a lot of people are really going to enjoy the prospect of it. So we can move to questions, and I'll move to the next aircraft, Jayne. So
all right, sounds good. Chat, if you have any questions about that glider, feel free to ask in chat now. I think we maybe got you back, Raymond. You're looking better. You're muted.
Okay, Ken.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Okay. Phew.
Okay, now.
Welcome back.
All right, so we wait for the next one.
Yes.
So thank you. Good to be back. So Brandon is now loading the Pipistrel or Pipistrel. I don't even know how to pronounce it, honestly. Taurus M. It is a very different sort of glider. 15-meter wingspan. Still motorized by a Rotex, a 503 this time. So two-stroke, two-cylinder. Quite a bit less horsepower, but very different to fly. Because of that 15-meter, it is a lot more nimble, a bit more sporty. And you will see once it's loaded that the cockpit has a very open, almost like roller coaster type of design, where you just sit in the pit, and there's a very small instrument panel only, so you have a wonderful view. It really feels very different to fly this one. Very pleasant. There you go. Obviously a lot shorter. And Brennan
all right,
is
we're
going
in.
to. Yep. Amazing aircraft. The propeller is made of wood. This one gives you a bit of nostalgia maybe. Again, side-by-side wheels, so you can, just like the Stemme, taxi all the way from the hangar if you want to. Self-launch capable. And Brendan is
So this is the engine bay that Raymond's talking about, where you're going to see the engine extend out of.
This one too has solar power. So, of course, when you run the engine, just like the Stemme, you don't have to worry about power, because the moment you run the engine, the generator will charge the batteries. But once your engine is off in your glider mode, then obviously the solar panel will help power the avionics and the avionics battery.
So we're going to go ahead and extend the engine, so you can see it extend here.
There it goes. Beautiful propeller. Nicely modeled cargo bay also for it. You can see the pit which I mentioned. It's quite an open design. Seats in nice colors. Very pleasant to fly and dash around the Alps.
Something unique on the Taurus is the air brake is the parking brake. So to release your parking brake, you release your speed brakes. We'll go ahead and give this one a quick little fly around.
Okay. A few questions we got. Will glider have working wipers?
I'm assuming they're talking about the insect wipers. We have not added those insect wipers to our gliders right now. It's something we can definitely look at in the future. It's a little complex because of wing flex, and there's a lot of bone armatures going on for anyone who's has knowledge of the 3D sense of that. It's a very complex thing, something we don't plan on release, but something we could look definitely into the future for an update.
Cool. Another question.
Yeah, and for
Oh,
bug
go ahead.
wipers, we also need to consider. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
all you.
For
all
bug
you.
wipers, you also need to consider the impact on the the impact on the actual aircraft performance. So the lower you are, the more bugs you get, the more drag you get, and the less lift, of course. So once we do this, we'll get that in as well. We go for the full Monty.
And then, go ahead. Sorry.
Next question: can avionics on this be popped out on screen? I think meaning the last time.
I personally haven't tried. I don't know the hotkey for that in 2024. It's probably not something I should answer. But I believe sure. HTML in 2020 was pop out. So I just haven't tried that in 2024.
Okay. Last question: do you use a GPS to adjust weight and fuel?
Use GPS?
Maybe they mean. Nope, don't know what they mean. We'll see if we get a clarification on that question.
Yeah, it's something to adjust weight and fuel. We bring up this EFB.
EFB, maybe they meant the EFB.
And then you can go ahead and adjust your seats, ballast, fuel. So it's very similar to the top panel that we had in 2020, but the EFB is way more fully encompassed now and has multiple applications on it.
Awesome.
And something that's really cool about the Taurus, you saw me do a self-launch there, but as you can kind of see from the front, we also have winch and tow plane hookups on the belly and on the nose. So we are able to do conventional glider takeoff and then turn on your engine in flight to extend your flight hours. So you don't have to just do an autonomous launch. You can do any of the three, which is really fun if you're looking for that kind of experience. But yeah, for this, you saw me obviously do a self-launch.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's common for most motorized gliders, there's separate batteries for engine and avionics as well. So everything is fully simulated for both the Stemme and the Taurus.
And this one will go ahead and just shut down the engine in flight so you can kind of see how that works. I think I shut down.
You may want to slow down a little bit. Just like in the real aircraft, you need to reach a certain maximum speed before you can actually slow down the propeller. There you go.
There we go.
And that's there to simulate it, because just per the manual, you need to be below a certain speed. Otherwise, the windmilling, that was the term, will just keep your propeller going, and you won't be able to fold.
And now we're in full glider mode. And so we can just go ahead and switch to our systems. And then you can start the engine back up whenever you want. So that is the Taurus, and it's using, as you can see, the same LX nav system, same family suite as the Stemme. So we're bringing that kind of standard across the gliders. And we'll go ahead and move on to a little bit of bush if there's any more questions. So
okay, go ahead. All right, maybe question here. How do the gliders handle on the ground when it's super windy?
They're very lightweight aircraft. I'm sure Ray can talk your ear off about this one.
Yeah, they're very lightweight, and it's the wingspan especially. They obviously catch a lot of wind, so yeah, you need to watch your wing strikes. But other than that, no problem. Especially when you have a runway and you don't have too much crosswind, you'll be fine. It's just easy to take off. It can handle it. But we do test for crosswind, so yeah. Go ahead, Brennan.
Yeah, I was going to say the next aircraft we're going to be testing is going to be the Draco X, which many of you are probably familiar with, is Mike Patey's crazy innovation and design. that he's currently working on right now. So he's working on the Draco X in real life, and we're building it in the sim. And when things start getting updated, we're going to be updating on our end. So it's going to be kind of a really fun experience for everybody to kind of witness the journey going on there. Mike's been a great partner to work with. He's been extremely grateful for all the support he's given us and all the things, because the original Draco was lost. But we were able to get as much data as we could and pictures and references in order to accurately recreate the Draco X, but give it those improvements that Mike wants to do at the same time. So we hope you guys are excited for that one. We're going to take it for a quick flight in Utah, right next to Mike's hometown. So we are in game and ready.
Great. Here we go.
So this is the Draco X, and it's not until you're in first person that you realize the absolute size of this behemoth. And once again, it's a 1,000 horsepower turboprop engine attached to a Wilga. Yes, slapped to a Wilga 2000 airframe. And as you can see here, we got the nice little flags telling us our wind direction. So we got a little bit of wind today, but not too much. But I'll go ahead and let Ray talk a little bit more about the Draco as I complete free flight.
Yeah, you already see some slight differences with Draco. If you know that aircraft, 5 blades instead of 4. The wings are wider. There's some other details that are different. Very, very powerful. I mean, 1,000 horsepower on an aircraft this weight is just pretty crazy. After takeoff, you can literally go up 50 degrees and maintain. It's pretty nuts. But what we really wanted to do is not just fly by the numbers or things like that. We wanted to capture the feel that you have. It is really a lot of raw, untamed power. And the moment you start the engine, you really feel that. Because the suspension is quite loose, enormous shock travel. And the moment you have the power running, you really go through your main gear. And the moment you brake a little bit, you bounce a little bit on the tail wheel. The whole aircraft just wants to move. It just knows it needs to be contained. And if you're not careful, it'll run away from you. So one of the things we're really happy about is we managed to get the Draco squat in. If you know that from YouTube, basically means that once you have your brakes applied and you give power, it will really go through its main shocks all the way. And then you can release the brakes and it will just take off. In about 90 to 100 feet, you're airborne. And for an aircraft this size, that's unheard of. Here we are in the cockpit.
So this is the cockpit. We are currently in the cargo version, so we don't have rear passenger seats. So the Draco is going to be used in 2024 for a plethora of missions. So we have light cargo coming, we have search and rescue coming, we have passenger transport coming, we have sightseeing coming, private charter coming. So the Draco is kind of a workhorse of 2024 when it comes to career path. So wow. If you really want to do some crazy stuff there, you absolutely can. Something I do want to highlight as well, since I'm in dev mode here, is you can absolutely get very dirty. Dust, mud, dirt. And this is something here. We go do a quick outside run right there of it so you can see the detail. So we made sure on all our care to put into the dust and mud. So as you're getting this thing muddy, it's tracking everything. So depending on how long you land on certain areas, it will completely get dirty just the way the Bush Boys like it. So.
And one thing the Bush Boys like to do in this one is stall competitions. So if you go for short takeoffs and short landings or stall drag races, it's all easily possible in this one. For the stall competitions, we have built-in performance metrics inside the G3X. So you actually automatically see your takeoff roll and your landing roll as well. So that makes it very easy for the boys to do competition on this one. We carefully watch the stall drag races done in the original Draco, see how it behaves, how it does the forward slip during the braking phase of the drags, and make sure it behaves in a very, very similar, if not identical way. So you can have a lot of fun doing stall competitions in this one.
We also have a fully working oxygen system that checks your blood oxygen saturation level. It is probably the most in-depth oxygen checker in the sim. Raymond has done a fantastic job at that. And as you can see here, you're probably wondering, how am I going to get forward? I got a fuel box directly in front of me, hence the reason we spawned here. So we're going to go ahead and throw our propeller right into reverse thrust. And as you can see here, we are fully reversing with a full 360 castering tail wheel here. And we are now clear of the fuel box. So something really cool the Draco does is I have full reverse so that you can get out of sticky situations like that. Or just like Mike, you saw him in some of his videos, he would go up to his hangar, do a 360, and then back up into his hangar. Really fun stuff.
Or win a stall competition by braking really, really short by throwing into reverse thrust just before your touchdown. That's sort of fun.
As you can see, I'm taxing literally at like 2% throttle. This thing has a lot of power. So we'll go ahead and stop here. And Ray, this is where you can talk a little bit about your squat. So I'll go ahead and give it the custom squat physics. So I'm going to give it full power.
Right. There you go. So watch the main gear. See, it really goes through its knees like the real Draco. And the moment Brandon will let go, it will just want to take off, and he's ready for takeoff. And the moment you brake a little bit, you see the plane wobble. The suspension is enormous. This is about 10-inch suspension for the tail wheel, more than 40-inch or 14 on the main gear. That is very, very generous.
As you can see here, we got airflow flowing over the rudder and elevator as well.
That's the other thing. There's static thrust turbulence. So when you're on the ground, the airflow and propeller actually come around, and both the rudder and elevator will just vibrate in all that powerful prop push. So we did everything we could basically to get that raw power feel in.
Something as well. This also has an IR camera built in as well. But we're going to go ahead and take off Mike Patty style. So full thrust, let go of the brakes, drop our flaps, and let's go for it.
There you go.
Right. Can the Draco be used for glider towing? You mentioned it's in a lot of careers. Can it tow a glider as well, though?
If the glider can handle it.
Yeah, currently it might remove the gliding hook on the tail wheel of the wheel guy. So we didn't put it on the Draco X, but technically anyone can edit something, right, and make it tow gliders.
You could do a lot of things. It's really quite versatile. It even has working door seals that can be inflated to insulate the outside cockpit sound to keep the pressure in. That too is simulated, so you actually can hear the sound of the inflation and deflation of the door seals as well. So everything is in the entire electrical system. All circuit breakers are working. All the lights, if you know the original Draco, you know it can be quite a light show. There's lights below the wings pointing down. There is an airliner light facing backward, so Mike's buddies can find them easily in the sky. So they look for this torch light. So that too is there. So it is just fully.
We got modifiable interior lighting. And then let's go ahead and do the light show. Everyone likes the light show.
Turn it all on.
This is probably the Draco you all recognize. So she has a ton of lights, so much that we don't want to cover every single light here, but she easily has like 17 lights installed on her total or something. So it's a light party, including spotlights for, like Ray was saying, when you're flying with your friends so they can see you in the distance.
Everything's there.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and switch to our last aircraft, guys, which is the Premium Deluxe offering. This is the Savage Norden. So we feel like you guys are really going to love the work that we've put in on the Norden.
Perfect.
This is an aircraft we wanted to make for a long time already. Unfortunately, with the help of Microsoft and the Sobo, we were able to do it officially. So we have a very good recreation of the Norden. The owner of the Norden is very happy with it. So it is a very Swiss Army knife of bush planes, basically. You can just really explore the wilds. It's got sleds, electrically operated in the front. It's got double slotted flaps also, so you can do everything you want to get that lift in and go into difficult tight spots and get out of them as well. Like the real Norden, you can do a forward slip under a 45-degree bank and just maintain that. So it is crazy capable. It's really a wonderful aircraft. And here it is, the Norden. I'm sure Brendan has a lot to show on this one.
I do, and as you can see here, this is a beautiful area to test it. We're at Thomas Creek in Idaho, and you can see my guys getting ready for pre-flight here. It's an absolutely gorgeous area. Go ahead and give us some cloud cover. It's a slight bug that's happening to tech right now. There we go. A little bit of clouds. As you can see, she's also pretty big, not as big as the Draco. And yeah, Ray, go ahead and talk a little bit about her as I take up some chalks and stuff.
Yep. So quite powered, definitely no 1,000 horsepower like Draco, but there's still a Rotax 916 IS in there that still 160 horsepower, and for this weight it is enormous. So very powerful. Also here we wanted the immersion in, so just like with the Draco actually, which I did not mention, we got vibrations in as well, so it will really respond to the lovely new terrain that the new sim will have. Every rock, every landing bump, whatever you do, it will transmit into the system because the G-forces will literally translate into vibrating components like your control stick, etc.
And something I wanted to something I want to show here, Ray, is as you can see on the bottom here, we have a banner towing hook.
Yes.
So we're currently in the banner towing variant. So the Norden has multiple variants as well. So we have banner towing available. We have light cargo transport, which removes the rear seats. We have passenger transport. And the Norden is kind of like the all-around, like Ray was saying, the Swiss Army knife. So there's a lot of career paths that you can go with the Norden, as well as customizability, which I'll show you here. So inside we have our little Norden notepad, and these are fully customizable options. So you can turn on dash vibration on or off, which you'll see here. And we allowed that option in case people get a little motion sickness from the dash vibrating, because it's sitting on some cushions and does some subtle vibrations. You can hide your seat belt as well in case you're flying from the rear seat and you don't want to see that in your way. You can put a sleeping setup in the rear. So if you do sleeping setup, you can see you now have a nice sleeping bag. You can go ahead and take this out of the bush. You can turn on your lights, your little lantern. And then a smoke generator if you want to generate smoke, aerobatic smoke for your friends. And then we have headphone options, obviously. And then this is the big one. So we have livery styles. So we're currently in livery style 1, as you can see. And our engine cowling is removed. And so you can go ahead and change that by installing your engine cowling. And this is all multiplayer. And so players will be able to fully customize this thing. We can change our livery style. You can now see it's flat black. Livery style 2, got some different colors on the nose. And then livery style 3, which changes up that entire look. And so we have multiple livery options that change the color schemes. We made it very easy for people to go in there and change it to make their own color schemes. And then on top of that, you got 4 styles, which all go through the multiplayer aspect. So you can really make this Norden your own, make it as mean as you want to make it. We love the engine taking off the engine cowling. I'll go ahead and show you guys just the detail that's kind of gone into the engine as well.
That's the Rotax 916.
We absolutely love this Norden. Working with Zlin Aviation has been a fantastic pleasure, I think, for the entire team. They've been very good with us. And yeah, we'll go ahead and start her up. So we're going to go ahead and... Go ahead.
Yep.
Sorry.
It also has custom avionics for the altimeter and the airspeed indicator, as per the real Norden. So that is all there as well.
Once again, free castering tail wheel, which is really nice. I believe there's some rocks right here that I'm going to try my best to avoid on takeoff. I believe this is like a little bug going on right now. There's some rocks on the runway where it shouldn't, but we're going to take off right before we get to this big one right in the middle. There you go. As you can see, we got the tail hook. You can go ahead and drop it, pick up the banner when you're doing your mission. So, and we have those controls in this variant alone down here in the cockpit for the hook, and then for the banner pole, which you can rotate as well. So, really fun options on the Norden. It's equipped with that G3X touch, like Raymond was talking about, custom avionics, and she's kind of your typical bush flyer, go anywhere, do anything. So we believe that there's going to be a lot of flying in this thing to have fun out in the wilderness, whether you're in Alaska, deep in the woods in like Europe. There's going to be a lot of fun to have. But we hope you guys really enjoy the preview that we're giving you guys for our 5 aircraft. These are what was coming. The Taurus and the Norden that you see on screen here are deluxe or premium deluxe. The rest are going to be base game standard. So we hope we see you guys flying. Ray, do you have any closing remarks?
We love you all.
Very
Right? I think that's
nice.
a good closing remark. How we do. Yeah, hope you enjoy our aircraft, guys.
Yeah, we'll just end on a couple questions I was seeing. Ooh, might have lost them in chat here. Okay, here we are. Are we able to turn off Garmin avionics like in some IRL Nordens?
Turn off the avionics?
I think so, to just fly.
Yes, you can. You just pop the
Okay.
breakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. All circuit breakers are fully functional.
Oh, nice.
So you're able to pop multiple things, whether it's your comm, your nav, your
entire electrical
combination
system
gauge.
is,
You can kill
yeah,
really everything you want. So
it's fully simulated per the original electrical schematics, so everything is there.
So we made sure on our aircraft that I would say 90% of everything is functional. On some like the Norden, we put that special care in to make sure every single thing is functional up to the electrical system. So there's a lot of fun to have, whether you're having failures or not. So wear and tear, full mud as well. I'll go ahead and just show a little bit of that mud before we close out here. Everybody loves mud. So we give it some dust. As you can see, we already had some mud, some dirt.
We love to see it. That looks great.
And that's it. So we're going to go ahead and let the other 2 developers take their time. So we're really excited to hear from High Performance Group and Miltech as well. So
yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chunks and Got Gravel. Fantastic presentation. Great to see a little glimpse to what to expect on November 19th. Appreciate you coming on. Our next developer group we have is Miltech. So Miltech, if you're ready, we will hop over to you. Hello.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, I'm Gabriel, head of development and managing director of Miltech Simulation, and here we have Daniel, who is our head of aircraft development. So we are here so we are here to present a bit of a different aircraft, definitely a little bigger than what you have seen so far, the C-17 Globemaster 3. So we got it here in MSFS 2024. And it's fully cold and dark right now. But, well, as we talk a little about the aircraft, we're going to start it up and do a quick flight for you guys. So, first of all, well, the C-17, as you know, it's a heavy cargo aircraft. Let me show you the outside. We're here in Winnipeg with the Royal Canadian Air Force livery. It's a heavy cargo aircraft flown by the Canadian Air Force, by the US Air Force, the Royal Air Force in the UK, Australian Air Force, a bunch of operators. It's not the heaviest cargo aircraft in their fleets usually. In the case of USAF in particular, it's not their heaviest, but it's one of the more versatile aircraft on the fleets, basically because it can take off from very short runways with a very high payload. I think Dan has the actual numbers for payload capacity and such.
Yeah, we have 585,000 pounds all up weight, which is around 170,000 pounds of cargo, and that's cargo that we present in many different ways. So I'm sure we'll go over it in a bit, but we've got tons of different cargo layouts, from Humvees to Chinooks to a strange caravan. And they're just a few. There are tons of them. But it can do all of that and still get up on a runway that's around 3,500 feet long. And come back down on that runway. I think the C-17 is able to land at its maximum all-up weight as well. So it's an absolute beast of an aircraft when it comes to it, and that's all thanks to those 4 huge engines on it as well.
So one of the challenges that we actually had is deciding what loads to model. There's so many things. I was actually just watching a few days ago the launch of the Europa Clipper, the satellite going to Jupiter now, and it was actually carried on a C-17. So there's a lot of discussion on future additions to the cargo loads. We currently have 7, which are the most common ones, and you will see in just a minute. So I'm gonna get started with turning on the battery, and as you can see, a lot of displays light up, and some of them are doing testing. So one thing you'll see right away is that this aircraft is full with screens. There's 4 MFDs right in the center. There's 4 little screens right here, which are your mission displays, or mission computer displays, sorry, which is essentially your FMS. There's the 2 navigation communication displays, and then overhead you have a bunch of little LCDs and the web display, which is your warnings display right here. So yeah, there's a lot of screens. And as you can see, some of them have error messages. That's just because I don't have the RIUs aligned. So I'm just gonna go ahead and align all 4 RIUs here. And I'm gonna go ahead and also start the APU. So with this, we're just gonna have electrical power for now. And I'll do a quick walk around of the cockpit. Right here, we have our custom EFB. And there's also the EFB that comes with MSFS. So these 2 are different in fully independent systems. We have plans to bring essentially what's our own implementation of the EFB into the MSFS EFB. So everything is combined into one single device. But right here, you have all of the services, the doors, rams, engine covers, then fuel capacity. And we actually modeled the ER version, the extended range version, so you have some extra fuel. Here's the payloads, and as you can see, we have Humvees, we have heavy vehicles, we have presidential caravans, and a bunch of other things. And finally, we have a little map here to locate the aircraft in the world. So we have the same thing. It's not only here in the cockpit, we have the same thing back in the Globemaster station, and we're just gonna go there for a moment. There's our co-pilot. And then let's just go down here. Well, this is the rest area for the aircraft. For long flights, you usually have 2 crews resting here. And we go down to the cargo bay. And it's a massive cargo bay. And it's fully modeled. So right here we have the door that takes you outside of the aircraft. We have a lavatory that it's fully modeled. And you'll find a few Easter eggs. Yeah, there's a few Easter eggs if you go around this area. There's also a little galley here, and very important, the Globemaster station. So with such a large aircraft and carrying such big loads, it's very important that your center of gravity is well balanced. Otherwise, you can put the aircraft into a very uncomfortable situation. So we go here to the little laptop, and as you'll see, there's a little match to the old flight simulators. But right here, we can select any of the different cargo options that we want. For example, the CH-47 fuselage, and it's gonna spawn right inside of the cargo bay. Right next to the list of options, we can also find this. This is a center of gravity and also maximum takeoff weight diagram. So the little dot in the center, the blue dot, is going to indicate the center of gravity depending on the loads. So you can mess around with the different loads and you'll see that the center of gravity changes. And also the takeoff weight is going to change. You can pretty much max it out if you put fuel and weights on board. And that's not going to be a fun situation to be in. But as you can see, we have some presidential vehicles here. And let's use this ones to take off. You can also open all of the doors. So not only this one, but you can open the ramps in the back. And for that, you will need hydraulic pressure, which we don't currently have. We only have electrical system enabled. And the 2 paratrooper doors can also be opened. So I'm going to go ahead back to the cockpit, and I'll just engage my hydraulic pumps so you can see how the ramp operates. So with this aircraft, you can use the 2 auxiliary electrical pumps, and that's going to give you enough pressure to just operate any of the doors in the aircraft. So we can go back to services, and hydraulic press is insufficient, so I need pressure on this one as well. Yeah. So you need pressure on systems number 2 and 3. Yes. And we can move the ramp. Not sure if you guys are getting any sounds, but these are fully modeled. The sound guy who worked on this actually went on the field on an active C-17 recording everything. Shout out to Tyler from Econ 18, great sounds. Engine sounds are also from a real C-17. All of the sounds, even the switches, the warnings, everything has been recorded from a C-17. So as you can see, we have the ramps. We can also open the paratrooper doors, and that has their own wind deflector. And yep, all of those are fully modeled. So let's go back in the cockpit, close everything, and get the engines started.
And yes, for those asking in chat, we don't have sound, unfortunately, today due to technical limitations, so it'll be a nice surprise for you then when you see the sound in the sim.
It sounds very nice.
Very nice surprise, yeah. It's brilliant to fly the thing around and actually hear all of the correct warnings, and even things like the ramp noises and hydraulic pumps are there. And it must be said as well, whilst we're running through the startup, whilst we've gone to absolute and great lengths to simulate the systems of the real 17, with it being an active military aircraft, there's only so far that we can delve into something being study level.
Yeah.
I would like to put my weight behind it being relatively study level for what it can be, but there are things that even when we're working with Air Force members and with the correct manuals and all that sort of stuff, we still can't get information or simulate things. But everything that is there should work like it should.
Yep. That's definitely a limitation with whenever you're working with military aircraft, especially if they're in active service. For example, the mission displays right here, these are completely classified. There's literally zero information. There's one diagram on the manual and a couple of images online. That's everything you'll find about them. But we were able to just put pieces together, just look at those images to kind of see how the interface looks like. And then we also found out who was the manufacturer, who made them. And then based on other things that the manufacturer has done for commercial aircraft, we have a system that it's fully functional and that will take you from A to B fully IFR. But we are not entirely sure how accurate it is to the reality, just because it's fully classified and there's no information about it. Everything else, the displays, the multifunction displays, the overhead panel, everything else is not classified and it works as it should, except for a minor couple of things, which are station keeping and anything regarding defense systems that, of course, because of how MSFS works, it's just not modeled. So I got distracted and I forgot to engage my second starter here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll probably start a couple of engines at the same time just to save some time. So yeah, we're going through the startup process. And in the meantime, I'll show you the multifunctional displays. So here you have the PFD, standard things, speed, altitude, your headings. Then you have the navigation display, and you have two different options. You have this one, which is the compass rose version, and the map version. And this right here, the yellow thing you see, it's a terrain radar. So you can, here you can switch between terrain and weather radar. We don't currently have any weather, so I'm going to make it a bit rainy. So adding some rain, you'll see, let's rain again. Here, you'll see the weather radar up. And then here in PPI, this is your TCAS system, essentially. Then the engines, as you can see, here's a summary page. We also have the detail page and the engine oil page, and finally the configuration page. Here you will see the brake temperatures, and all of these are modeled. You'll see your control surfaces as they move. We can move the flaps right now since we have some hydraulic pressure. Let's engage all of these pumps right here. And yep, that's good engine start on 3 of the engines, just waiting for the last one. And since we have rainy conditions, I'll show you some of the effects. All of the engines have this sort of effect in rainy conditions and also snow conditions, and also dirty conditions. If, for example, you're flying near a desert or anything where it's sandy, you will see the sand pick up as well. So good start on all 4 of the engines, and we're ready to go. So let's release parking brakes, engage quickly the generators so I don't lose any power, turn off the APU.
Some things. Your lights.
My lights are off, yes. So let's just turn these on. Well, landing lights are okay.
Lights on the C-17 are something that we put extra special focus into. Basically, most of the lighting systems that are listed in the manual are in the C-17, and they work as they should and look as they should, which might not sound like much, but when you start finding light switches absolutely everywhere, even on the side consoles at the back, you realize that this aircraft has a lot of individual lighting systems.
Yep. So you can see here, well, we have 2 of the landing lights, and actually the landing lights on the C-17 can be oriented down or forward. That's fully modeled. I currently have 1 oriented down for some reason. Let me figure it out why. I think it's this one. Well, it would help if I turn on the cockpit lights. And all of these are fully modeled as well. But yeah, this thing has, I don't even know how many lights. There's a lot of lights.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, we can even do things like dim the formation lights. We've gone to that level of detail in the refueling entry lights, refueling floodlights, fuselage spotlights for your icing conditions. We have 2 different color modes for the cargo bay. We've got all of the individual panels can be lit on digit lighting, flow lighting, and back lighting, and then sometimes even flood lighting. It's absolutely crazy with the amount of lights it's got on it.
Yeah, there's just so many things on this aircraft. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and take off. And one thing that I want to mention, well, 2 things that I want to mention while I do that is, first of all, fly-by-wire system. So this is one of the questions that a lot of people were asking on Discord. Yes, we have a currently fully customized fly-by-wire system on the aircraft, mainly because, well, fly-by-wire doesn't really work well on 4 engines, but we made it work. We created our own system, and that's also important because the C-17 was actually the first aircraft in active military service to include a fly-by-wire system in 1993. And back then, fly-by-wire was a new technology, so they decided to also allow the pilot to disengage fly-by-wire at any time. So we have 6 switches actually on the overhead panel that allow you to disable fly-by-wire on all of the different axes. And we can actually do that with a custom system. So I'll take off and show you how it works. Another thing that the C-17 is very famous for is the tactical descents. The tactical descents is basically going from, I think it's 35,000 feet, so cruise altitude, to very low, basically approach altitudes on a very short amount of time. That's probably a couple of minutes. So for that, the aircraft engages full spoilers, sometimes flaps as well, and most importantly, the reverse thrust in flight. C-17 is probably the only aircraft that can engage reverse thrust while in flight. So that's currently partially modeled. You can do tactical descents, and one sec, I'm forgetting here my aileron trim. So you can do tactical descents without the reverse thrust right now. You'll be able to engage reverse thrust in the future. There's just limitations in the sim that we need to bypass, and we are working towards that. So in the future, definitely you'll be able to do full tactical descents. So as you can see here, we took off at a very low speed. The C-17 can actually do that. And I'm gonna make it daytime just so it's a little easier to see out of the window. Because essentially what I want to show you is the fly-by-wire system. So let's just catch some airspeed. And I'm not flying the greatest right now because I'm on Xbox controller. And this is not my usual setup. But basically, the fly-by-wire system is going to hold your attitude at whatever attitude you set the aircraft. So right here, these are my fly-by-wire switches. And if I let the aircraft go, it should hold the attitude. Wait one sec. There's something overriding my fly-by-wire logic. Yeah, so there you go. The aircraft is flying, and I'm now overspeeding. I'm not the greatest pilot right now. But as you can see, the aircraft is just holding the attitude as it should with a fly-by-wire system. If I turn right, the aircraft is also going to hold the attitude at that specific bank angle. But if I go ahead and disable fly-by-wire here, and I'm going to go to full mechanical, now the aircraft is in fully mechanical mode, which means there's no augmentation by the fly-by-wire system. And if I turn right, the aircraft no longer holds actively pitch or bank in this case. So the fly-by-wire can be fully deactivated if you wish, but generally you'll have it always on. The other component about this aircraft that is quite particular is the autopilot panel. It's fairly standard compared to other aircraft that you might that you might know. But the peculiarities with this one is that it can follow TACANs, and it can also follow approach paths that are not the usual 3 degrees. So those ones are partially simulated, and we have plans to expand a little more on those functions that are particular to the C-17. So overall, we have an aircraft that is fairly detailed for the limitations that we face with military aircraft. As Dan said, we don't want to say study level because there's definitely things that are not 100% accurate just because of limitations. But it's fairly detailed in terms of systems, and you have everything that you'll need to fly it from A to B fully IFR. With cargo loads. And I guess some people might be asking, is it working in missions as well? And the answer is yes, we have plans to make it work with remote operations, remote cargo operations, which are the type of missions these aircraft are supposed to fly in FS 2024. I'm not sure if there's any questions, but right here you can see the beautiful volumetric lighting on this aircraft, and I'm going to make it daytime just so you can see it better.
We did have one question earlier. They wanted to know if you'll be making a manual for the C-17.
There is a manual. It is not a simple aircraft. You can pretty much fly it following the checklist from the sim, but there's a lot of systems, and there's a lot of small little details that you might not know. But the manual is very long. It's 70 pages, so you have all of the information there.
Awesome. Are you able to show the working wipers by chance?
Yes, I can show the working wipers. For that, I need to make it rain again, so I need to probably send a little.
No problem. There's a lot of people asking.
Yeah, for the
Also-
wipers, we're actually working, and we were working on this morning. Dan can probably.
It's definitely worth noting, and I think this applies to all of the other teams that are showing their work as well, is that we're all working with things that are in progress and with development builds. So there are quirks to things, but as you can see, the wipers are quite uniquely working.
Awesome.
And they do have the wiper tracks and things like that. So
Someone else asked, can the rear cargo door be opened mid-air?
Absolutely. So if you try to go all the way ramp down, it's not going to go. It'll go to the leveled position. But as you can see, it's open. And let's open the upper door as well. So as you can see, it's fully open, and you can also open the side paratrooper doors in flight. So yeah, if you have the ramp fully down while on the ground and then you start moving, the ramp is going to automatically go up to the level position. So yeah, overall, it's a very complex but beautiful aircraft. I think we love it and hate it at the same time at this point, but it's probably more towards love for the aircraft. It's just so capable. You know, you can do transatlantic flights at whatever altitude you wish with the doors open if you want, and land on a very, very small airstrip, fully loaded with cargo. So you can pretty much fly anywhere in the world. Any airstrip is going to handle this aircraft pretty much just fine. And yeah, I don't know if Dan has anything else to add at this point.
we answer some questions if people have more of those.
The what, sorry?
Might help me answer more questions.
Yep.
Let's see. There's a question. They're looking at that weather radar. Is that default or custom made?
That's default. It's pretty much the only source of weather we currently have. Gotcha.
Can you drop out some cargo off the ramp? Are you able to drop things?
Yeah, airdrops is something that we are currently actively looking for towards. It's currently not possible. All of the loads are fixed in place. We are looking at what's coming with FS24. We have the SDK, of course. So we are trying to dig for more information if it's something that will be natively supported. If not, we already have a planned solution on how to make it work. So yeah, definitely coming in a future update.
Nice. Will it have different liveries?
Yeah, so it's 2 Royal Canadian Air Force liveries. And then we have 3 or 4 more that are either house liveries, fictional liveries, and one that is fully unpainted. So it's basically a private livery. And we have more coming on our website just because of licensing reasons.
Awesome. And do you know, will it be compatible in certain career modes?
Yes, we mentioned it would be remote cargo operations.
Perfect. Do you have wing flex on the wings?
Yeah, wing flex is actually a big one. I think Dan can answer that one.
Yeah, the wing flex question. We did have an implementation of wing flex, and for the most part it worked, but we weren't happy with how it looked and how it functioned, and it didn't really meet our high bar for this aircraft. So it's definitely something that we aim to get into the aircraft, and we will get into the aircraft. It's just a case of when.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to add to what Dan said, we had a couple of issues with it. It's just not ready right now, and we rather perfect it before we release it to the public.
Understood. All right, Miltech Simulations. Thank you so much for joining us today, Gabrielle and Daniel. Appreciate this little look into the C-17. Looking forward to having everyone try it out in the sim on November 19th. Thank you so much for joining. I think at this point we will move on to our third developer, which is Hype Performance Group. they're ready to go.
Yeah, we're here with our H25 or our H225, the Airbus H225, which is a medium utility helicopter. I'm here at Spinks Airport, and there is some history and kind of importance to that. Really, just kind of to tell our story. So, at HPG, we've developed three other Airbus helicopters prior to the H225, those being the H135, the H145, and the H160. But really the H225 is the one we're the most impressed with our work here, and I think it really goes to just having the strong collaboration with Microsoft and the amount of resources they were able to make available to us. One of which being able to directly get into this helicopter, and get a cool 3D scan, get authentic audio from the guys down at Air Center Helicopters in Fort Worth, Texas. So we're at Spinks Airport, and this is actually where those guys are based out of. So again, we were able to take a trip there and make sure that everything that we've put into this matches the real world detail of that aircraft. One of the big things I'll kind of start off with here is just that there are two variants that we'll be delivering with 2024. So right now we have the search and rescue variant, but there is also a civilian variant. And that really just speaks to kind of the configuration options that are available with the H225, which really perfectly works with 2024, and really giving people a lot of different activities that they can do, a lot of different career paths that you're able to do within the sim. The H225 itself is going to be able to do passenger transport, to do cargo transport, and to have search and rescue operations, and of course, you can always just fly around in free flight if if that's your thing there. But a really impressive aircraft overall. The scale of it, maybe if we had a person out here, you could tell, but this is close to 20 feet tall. They have a max takeoff weight of just under 25,000 pounds. So really, again, just kind of goes into how big of a utility player these are when it comes to helicopter operations around the world. I'm going to go into the inside here. Give me a moment just to get into the cockpit. So we're in cockpit now, and apologies, I ran into a little MFD bug while we were waiting here, but typically you would have, the four MFD displays here. So earlier iteration prior to what you're used to in our other Airbus helicopters, which is the Helionics suite, but still very sophisticated. The Super Puma series dates back, very, very long history there, back to the 1980s, and then it, eventually turned to the H225 in the early 2000s. Airbus brought it on, and then of course they put out their proprietary Helionics avionics suite. But this one you'll still have access to, four-axis autopilot. All that functionality is going to be within here. You also do have the FMS here, which is the CMA 900 there. So that's going to be accurately modeled, allowing you to do full IFR flights, within the helicopter. So really big difference compared to what we have in 2020 in terms of the default aircraft, where not a lot of systems innovation or sophistication with the helicopters currently shipping with 2020, but you would have that in 2024. So really cool to have a sophisticated helicopter like that. And again, this is the search and rescue variant. So I'm just going to back up here and go a little to the back. So as we go back here, again, this is already equipped for search and rescue, so this is going to really increase that immersion once you get into those activities centered around search and rescue within 2024. Again, this was detailed directly off of the H25 there at Air Center. One of the things you'll note is on the ground, so when you see these actual tracks, this is how they make the H225 so configurable. These can come out, this can turn instantly from a search and rescue vehicle to firefighting to really anything that they need based off what the operator needs. Air Center helicopters, where we got the reference from, they actually are the #1 civilian operator of these as well. They have about 20 of them, and then those are all around the U.S. and around the world as well. Again, continuing on with the 2024, we got a lot of new materials that we're able to take advantage of, so it really helps with the realism of the graphics here, the lighting as well, improvements. Of course, we've got the walk around capability. So when you're doing your walk arounds, you'll be able to touch all these surfaces, open doors. Kind of the idea behind the walk arounds this year with 2024 is anything that you'd be able to access without, having specific hardware to get into it, you'll be able to. So the engine columns, things of that nature, you'll be able to pop into as well here. So let's go all the way back here to the cabin. Just going to walk back up to the front. What I'll do is just a short little flight here. Again, so a lot of folks who've flown the Airbus helicopters, they kind of compare them to their experience in other sims, Well, what I like to kind of point out there, though, is just a lot of the helicopters that have come in prior sims, again, they didn't have that system sophistication. So you're not getting fly-by-wire systems. You're not getting, 2, 4, 6 axis autopilot. So that's going to be new to a lot of folks who fly this. And, when you first get in, it may seem like, man, this is too simple to fly. But the reason for that is these H225s, the minimum cost for an operator to get these is about $20 million to $30 million in cost. So of course, Airbus put a lot of that tech in. The idea, of course, is they want the pilots to be able to focus on the mission, which is keeping the crew safe. So they want as much, pilot thought going into operating these. It will not have the Hype tablet, but it is shipping with the 2024 EFB tablet. Because of the Hype tablet was used mostly for the customization options. Again, with 2024, that configuration is done right from the aircraft selection menu. There was a question earlier about liveries as well, and one of the cool things about 2024 is now with the system that we're using for liveries, you don't have to have multiple livery packages per variant. They can apply across all the variants. So that is one other improvement that's coming with 2024.
Will you be able to operate the hoist on the search and rescue version?
Yes, you will. I don't have my Toby set up, so I usually would use that to kind of scroll up or to look up
Yeah.
at the overhead panel. But there is a hoist lever within the overhead panel, which you'll also be able to set a shortcut for.
Awesome.
Additional questions there in the chat that I could take?
What type of liveries will you have?
So we have 6 liveries by default. They're mostly just color variations, but we do have the official and a rolling lane in here. I shouldn't have parked here, but we do have the official Airbus house livery that you're used to, kind of seeing on the H225s. And then we have some color variations, and then we have this SAR one. There's some opportunity maybe that some additional liveries will get released, but of course, the community always throws some help behind that as well.
For sure. Will this be good for firefighting? People know a little bit more, I think, about the careers that this can do.
Yeah, so at this junction, the variant is not equipped with any of the firefighting equipment, but of course, we love to continue working with Microsoft. There is, there is a variant that does have that firefighter fighting ability. They actually put a belly tank on it, so that would be something cool. I don't think any of the aircraft that we've seen for 2020 or 2024 yet have the belly tank, so that would be kind of cool.
He says modeling here is absolutely stunning. Does this chopper come with floats?
This one does not. No.
No floats. Okay. Yeah, definitely. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to show off in the helicopter, Steve?
No, not this time. Just again, super excited to get this into the hands of everybody.
Fantastic. Well, we are certainly looking forward to this in the launch of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Thank you so much, Steve, for joining us today. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to all of us. We'll see if Jorg is around here to say hello to again. I think he is. Hey, Jorg.
Hi.
Welcome back. We got everybody back here. We got High Performance Group, got friends, Miltech, all have presented.
Great
Thank
job,
you
you
so
guys.
much. Yep. Any closing words, Jorg?
Yeah. So, hi again. Hope you found this interesting. Thank you for the teams at Got Friends, Miltech, and Hype. Unlike last week, we actually did show it in 2024. So it was great to see. I looked at the chat a little bit while I was working. How excited you guys are about the look and feel of everything. The sim looks really great, so I can't wait to have it to finally have it in your hands. One of my favorite things about this entire project, Flight Sim 2024, is how we evolved, how we put the sim together and how it's being developed. So it was obviously at the core of it, the engine, most of the key sim innovations, but the aircraft fleet in particular, we tapped into like great folks like the ones today. And that, in the past, it was always base sim aircraft were traditionally not all that detailed. But with teams like this, I think you saw today, there's 14 other teams, and all of them are pouring their hearts into the aircraft. And I think the detail is just going to be awesome. So for the community, with the community, I think it's really something. Somebody in the chat when I was watching said how nice it is to see that aircraft, that developers support each other. And I saw the same thing. Like you guys, all the nice comments from people that make planes out there. Thank you. And I think the team here is super collaborative. So I really think this is the way forward. It's a better world. Collaboration is a good thing. So I think that was it for today. We are actually shipping the dev alpha right now. Like, so I know if you've been waiting, we found these 2 crash bugs, they're fixed. So I think literally like this minute, the dev alpha is up, and you can take, you'll have the exact same tools that these folks have to put those planes together, this aircraft together. So that was it for this week. Next week, we'll have a marketplace, probably SDK mixed, because it's the first time that you guys had the dev alpha in your hands, and so we get some feedback, and we can hear if there's open questions and all that. But that was it for today. Thank you so much. I'm super happy how many of you spent time, and 27 days to go.
You're counting. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, chat, for tuning in. We will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.
Thank you.